Well, good, what is this? Monday afternoon. It's afternoon. Boy, it rained this morning. We got hammered with rain for about an hour and a half. I think we got close to a half inch in that amount of time. So, she's a little wet, a little sloppy outside, but that's all right. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be nice. I'm going to get the grader out again and start cutting on that driveway. What are you doing today, Rick? Well, 2005 Mercury Mariner, and it has a leaking left rear axle seal. So, and this one's got it's got the classic Minnesota rust. It's nothing I haven't dealt with in the past, but it is particularly rusty. You can see the brakes haven't got a lot of use. They don't put a lot of miles on it, and that thing leaks pretty good, so they want to get that fixed up. We got the wheel off, axle nut came off. A lot of times the threads on these are shot, so that was good. The threads on there are clean. We got to remove the shock, upper control arm nut, lower control arm nut, and we need to remove this bracket for the brake hose. And we're going to see if we can get enough flexibility out of that bushing. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And swing that arm out, get the axle stub shaft out, and get the axle shaft out of there. So, let's see what happens. So normally the bolt that holds the shock on this end would have a flag on it that engages with the knuckle and keeps it from spinning. Well, subsequently it has succumbed to the Minnesota winters, and it's no longer there. We're going to see if we can hold on to it with a vice grip. And it doesn't appear that we can. We might, if I get you over here and show you that flag right here. That's where that flag used to attach. We're going to try to drive that back a little bit. Give us a little bit more room to grip on that with a vice grip. We'll see if we can get it off there. I was pounding that back a little bit, but I don't know what's going to help. I might try a pipe wrench on there and grab one of them. Pipe wrench, pipe wrench. Damn. Well, time for plan B or D or whatever it is now. So one of these days I should probably get a MAP gas torch. Would be nice for this kind of application. It gets a little bit hotter than propane. I can always get the cutting torch out and use that. Like it's plenty hot. We got them off. But we're not trying to light things on fire or create a fucking ton of smoke, but whatever. Sometimes it comes with the territory. Perfect, huh? Don't touch that washer. I was gonna pull it off there, but So one thing I do like about this hoist is it versus a two-post, you got the flexibility to put all your tools and parts out here, kind of like when you're working on a drive-on. Except for it doesn't take up as much space as a drive-on, so that's kind of nice. I like it. Personally, I like that. Next thing is we got to get the brake line, the brake hose bracket off, or at least attempt to. Well, good Thursday morning, everybody. Fuck, I've been under the weather with this fucking neck thing. I can't, yesterday was a rough day. I couldn't see straight. Tuesday, hauled some hay, hit 5K, drank a little beer, but I didn't get like fucking, you know, I got a little fucked up, but it wasn't that bad. And then, oh fuck, I turned my head wrong yesterday morning. I was out doing chores and turned my head wrong, and it pretty much fucking incapacitated my ass for a while, so whatever. I'm back in the shop now. I'm gonna try to get this thing done today. We gotta work on this that Jeep out there, get that fucking, it's got a starter issue and some electrical problems. We gotta get that fixed. So, and I got a couple other people that I gotta call and get worked in here because they need stuff fixed, and I can't be fucking making excuses. At least I can see straight today. Still get the sweats from it. I don't know how I get fucking cold sweats from it, but whatever. I can do the pain. It's just it's the sweating and the fucking double vision and all that shit that I get going on. So, nut on the lower control arm. See if that'll come off. Yes. Perfect. And then we got the nut on the upper control arm. Both of these are going to be 18 millimeter, by the way. If they're rusted, you're going to have to, like this one, you're going to have to drive the socket out with a hammer. Usually you hook it stays in the taper and doesn't release, but I did soak these with penetrating oil. If you got exposed threads, you're nothing wrong with throwing some penetrating oil on them. If you're going into a blind hole, you don't have any exposed threads, the rust is usually encapsulated that enough that you're not getting anything in there anyway. Try to use the extension. Oh yeah. Perfect. So if it breaks loose from the taper and the knuckle, then you're going to have a new set of challenges trying to get that thing apart, and usually end up having to put another arm in it. General rule of thumb is, if you get that, for me personally, because you got these nylock nuts, if you get that sucker moving, it's creating heat. Keep it moving, don't let it cool off, because then it'll stick again. Sometimes, if I get it moving and it wants to bind up, I run it back and forth a little bit on there, put a little heat into that nut, and then burn it off. So now we got nut off the lower control arm, nut off the upper control arm. Our axle is loose in the hub. Our brake hose is disconnected and out of the way. And I did have this one bolt out, but I was going to take the caliper off, but I don't think I'll need to now. So go ahead and put that back in just to be on the safe side here. And put these caps back in. Come on. Okay. So now we gotta pop these arms out, and we'll be able to hopefully be able to push this lower control arm assembly out and leave the spring mostly in there. We'll see. All right, so take the hammer, tap the end of the stud coming through. They usually pop out pretty easy. In this case, they did. They got the port power set in here and hooked up to my power unit. What we're going to do is we're going to push this thing over. We got to bring the jack with it though, because the jack is supporting that arm, and we don't want to get it too far off kilter and try to throw that spring out. We don't have to push it too far to get it out of that bearing. It's just more than you can. There's enough flex in that bushing, you can get it to go. And if it won't go, I do have that bushing on hand, so we can replace it if need be. But as you can probably hear, it's not like we're not building any pressure here. We're not, you know. That axle almost come out of there right now. What happens is you got to be able to compress that CV joint just a little bit. And again, make sure you're moving your jack with it. Just be on the safe side. That spring's got a little bit of tension on it, but not much now. You can pretty much flex it a little bit with your hands, so. Watch that port power as you're pushing on things to make sure nothing gonna fly out of it and smack you too. Like I said, it doesn't have a lot of pressure on it, but it's got enough that it'll pop you in the mouth. I already got a pain in my neck, I don't need a pain in my mouth. Close. Really close. There it is. So now we can leave this in here. We're gonna pop that axle out and take a look at that seal. So we got drain pan we're gonna throw down underneath here. Just try to catch whatever's gonna come out of there. And so now we're gonna get in here and pop that axle free. Comes out real nice actually. So that's good. It wasn't horribly stuck on the circlip or anything like that. Okay, so we gotta pop our seal out of here, and our seal has all but separated from its housing. That's why it's leaking. Oh, come on. Get the rest of it out of there. We're gonna have to grab a chisel and we'll fold those edges over a little bit and pull some of the pressure off a bit. This drawer. Okay, come on. I should have grabbed a screwdriver too, huh? grab a screwdriver here. That's all I want to do is work this screwdriver underneath the lip of the seal. Start walking that seal out if I can. There's usually a little sealer on these things that kind of so what I'm doing right now is just driving it underneath the edge to try to walk that seal out. And we'll see if we can not quite get in there yet. Let me come from this back side. Here we go. One seal removed. A couple of things you're going to want to check on the seal surface. You can see that polished line. Make sure it's not a groove that you can feel with your finger. It's not, because that's where your sealing lip rides. The reason that was leaking is because it had delaminated from the metal. That adhesive was gone and it was leaking out from there. And then you're going to want to scrape that surface in here where the lip, you can see the sealer on the seal, but you want to clean that surface where this lip sits so that way the seal will sit in there nice and flush and clean. And what I'll do is I'll stuff a rag in the end of the hole there, and then we'll clean up everything around it, get all the junk off there, and we'll start putting this thing back together. All right, so as you can see here, we got that surface all cleaned up. We degreased that pretty good. Got rid of that on there so it's not hanging off and looking all janky and shit. That way it actually looks like we did something down here. And we have ourselves a new seal. Now they do make a seal installer for these. In this application, I do have enough clearance that I believe I can walk that in with a hammer. Just a small ball peen hammer. Finding that magic point to catch it though can have its challenges. Get that thing started in there. We might have to make an installer. Okay, I'm gonna see what I got for installers laying around and we'll go from there. All right, so I don't have the perfect installer tool, but I got something that I think will work. At least get her started anyway. And we can lock that in the rest of the way. Oh, come on. Maybe not. There's not a lot of extra room in here, I can tell you. Perfect. Now we got her. I just like to go around the edge of the hand with a ball peen wherever you can, kind of. Make sure she's seated, and it's seated over here, but I'm hitting the head on that, so it should sound the same all the way around, but I can see that it is seated. Nothing else, take your fingernail, run it around the edge, make sure you can't stick your fingernail in between there. So now we can stick the axle shaft back in. Another thing I want to do before I stuff this axle shaft back in there is clean that end up. So again, it actually looks like you made a repair on it. Don't just throw the seal in it and be like, yeah, it's fine. Make it look like you actually performed a repair. It's not going to be perfect, and most people know that. We're not pressure washing it and, you know, getting all that. But get the bulk of it off there. Because it make it at least look like you attempted it, right? Especially the gear oil. That stuff's kind of nasty anyway, but. Okay, so we're gonna put this back in there. We want to make sure our circlip goes in. We line up with our lines and we give it a little bump on the end of the spines here, or the end of the shaft, to get that circlip started. And it should, as long as you're engaged, should go in there pretty fairly easy. Starting. There. Now we pull that lower control arm out of the way, and we can manipulate our axle in order to get it back in there again. In this instance, where I pried it out before, you're probably going to have to gain a little bit more on the forward power to get it back in there, because you don't have the same kind of leverage to get it back in. Now we can that little bumper on the corner with a hammer, just on the handle like that. Make sure your axle shaft is started. Go ahead and back your porta power down a little bit. Try to keep your jack wheeling back with it as that comes back. Now you can take your porta power out of here. This is the setup we were using. That square end and the round end on the inboard side. Use that and engage on the knuckle, the corner. It works out pretty good. You save you from cutting a lot of suspension parts apart if you don't have to. That's always a bonus. Now we want to make sure your splines are getting started there. this lower control arm. I gotta make sure that's all right. I'm gonna have to bring the jack up just a little bit. We're gonna try to get that shock started. That shock is what keeps that lower control arm and that spring from wanting to, the cast spring from wanting, or cast arm from wanting to come out of there. If we get that, once that's started, kind of gives us a little bit of security and pushing things around a little bit more. Whatnot. You can hear that the rust in this backing plates are going to be, yeah, you can hear it on the other side too. They don't put much miles on this thing. Get that one started. We're going to give it a shot of penetrating oil on them threads, because that's going to help. Little lubricants on there. Same thing on this bottom one. So get it in there. Balls. Just gotta make sure I don't turn my damn head the wrong way. Doing all this, you gotta move with your shoulders and that shit, because I figured that out yesterday. I need to do it again today. It's hell getting old. There we go. That one's in there. Now you're going to need something to, because that taper was what was holding that together before, you're going to need something in there to put a load on that taper so that nut will go down. Keep that stud from spinning. If you spin that stud out too much, you'll wreck that ball joint. So what I'm going to do on this bottom one is we're going to pick up on it with the jack, because now that the jack's in a kind of in a safe spot, or in a neutral spot, I should say, we can let that down. This jack extension, and it's not my machining that makes this thing wobbly. It's the turns out the pins in the jack ain't made for a 30+ inch extension on the jack pad, but it still works. We got that one tight. This upper one is much the same, but we don't have the ability to lift up on it. and it wants to spin, so we'll wedge the control pry bar in here between the coil spring, underneath the coil spring, on top of that arm, and then we'll try to tighten this thing up. Perfect. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. So all I got left here is axle nut, brake line bracket, upper arms tight, lower arms tight, and we gotta do the shock, put the wheel on, and this thing is done. Oh, and by the way, we did figure out the valving issue for to balance this thing, so when we're raising and lowering, it's not off balance. It was just a matter of fiddling around with the valves a little bit and figuring that stuff out, but so now everything's premium on this thing. Works great, lifts nice and level. The second stage does drop faster than the first. All right, guys, well, that's enough for that escape. We got the seal put in. I didn't take you with me on the test drive because, well, it's raining like a mofo, and you weren't going to be able to hear much anyway. It was raining much harder than what it is right now. So that's another project, another repair job out of here. I got to get into cleaning all this up in here right now and get on to a few more projects. We have to really get banging some things out this spring. Not that I haven't been working, but we got to fucking step her into high gear. We got to put the pedal to the metal, and we got to get her done. So if you guys like what I'm doing, throw me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and ring the bell, get my notifications. Memberships are down there if you want one, and I really do appreciate it because it certainly helps us out on the channel. See you guys again next time.